Hello all, welcome back to Terra, where today we are, heavily focused on Terra, to be honest with you, because the Great Scouring has begun. I'm joined again by Christian, my servo skull in the background there. And we have both read this novel. I have been working on some videos, but I, of course, had to read it because it is the new Warhammer 40k narrative. So I have blitzed through it. This is very much going to be a raw review for me, and Christian, I think actually you've probably done a lot more than I have. You've taken notes and everything, so we'll see how
kind of not a few here and there.
No, hey, it makes my life easier, pal, so I'm very happy for it. But the first thing I gotta say is it's good, isn't it? Like I don't know if you agree. Chris Ray,
it's really good.
We knew it was going to be good, but it was really good. And we were just talking about this before. Chris Ray has kind of done this already in a weird way. It is sort of a throwback to the future, where in like the Region Shadow series, Vaults of Terror series, he is really good at writing this kind of like core politics of the Imperium. It is so hard to write well because you are talking. As we'll go through, the level of character is just so ridiculously high in this book. So to have them conflicting, this might even be the single, outside of the traitor summoning before attacking Terra, this might be the one of the scenes with the most number of Primarchs just in a scene. And in addition to that, you've got a Valdor, and you've got the heads of the High Lords of Terra, or soon to be, and then, just ridiculous levels of characters, the Chosen of Malkador, everything is at such a high level. So it's so good. And of course, we get some brand new text to start off the book, which is actually pretty exciting, because if you're not familiar, if you've never read a Horus Heresy novel or a Warhammer 40k novel, each book kind of starts off with the same little passage, and it's always really nice to read these because they get you hyped for the novel and remind you of the stakes. And so this text will appear at the beginning of all of the novels in the Scouring. Horus Lupercal is dead, killed by his father in a final desperate attack upon the Bridge of the Vengeful Spirit. The Emperor is entombed on the Golden Throne. Humanity cries out for him to lead them through the darkness, but the master of mankind remains silent. The Space Marine legions, once mighty enough to conquer the stars, are shattered and leaderless. Those traitors who survive run for their lives, seeking to escape retribution, although they turn on each other. The Imperium's fate is just as uncertain. The Brotherhood of Primarchs, first broken by Horus, begins to fracture further. Some wish for unity, others hunger for vengeance at any cost. While in the shadowed chambers of the Imperial Palace, a more insidious threat to the Astartes grows. Humanity, wary of transhuman war, dares to dream of a galaxy without space marines. It is a time of reckoning. The glories of the Great Crusade have been extinguished by the treachery of the Horus Heresy. Ashes of the Imperial dream are all that remain. The Scouring has begun. Such a great passage, and that's to be honest, it's a good little summary of this book, really.
It really is.
Pretty much everything that is laid out there is happening. We are getting the start of the Primarchs beginning to fracture. Guilliman and Rogue Dawn's relationship is already starting to fall apart. Rogue Dawn pulls few punches in this novel. When they have the meeting that you'll see from the cover, Rogue Dawn calls Guilliman mad. He says that he's fallen to madness, and he's going to destroy the Imperium pretty much with his mentality. And whether that's exactly true, I guess we'll discuss today. But that is kind of like the core scene of the book, as you might imagine from the cover. Yeah. It is the Primarchs debating. Actually, no, it's every Primarch debating Rogue Dawn is what happens in this scene. Debating Guilliman. Sorry, it's Guilliman versus everybody else, because quite hilariously, the Lion and Russ are very calm and very polite, and they're just so normal in this book. It's a very bizarre reaction from the Lion and Russ, and they're very regal and what you wouldn't expect, which is very bizarre because, as Chris Nate references a couple of times in the book, his other novel that takes place sort of in the Scouring is Leman Russ, the Great Wolf, and in that, the Lion stabbed Russ through the heart, almost through the heart, very nearly killed Russ. But that was kind of like the last petty act of a Primarch, it seems. And now they're just good buddies and they're just good friends. And Rogal Dorn says to them, he's in this book, he's like, I mean, you two just want to go and kill traitors, don't you? And they're like, yeah, pretty much.
We're gonna do that.
We just want to go kill traitors. Yeah, I mean, even Vulcan, we see him kind of slaughtering Emperor's children.
He has broken. Vulcan has. If you know Vulcan from memes and hugs and cuddly Vulcan, like he was never really that in lore. But if that's how you know him, you're gonna read this and you're gonna be shocked. Vulcan has seen some stuff. He's fed up. You see Vulcan murdering Emperor's children Marines with his bare hands in a sadistic fury, taking his time and dismantling them. Vulcan is angry. Murderously, suicidally angry.
Yeah, I mean, he even says in this book, and again, to your point, like I made a mental note of this to use in whatever video I do on the salamanders. There's a bit where he actually says that they're talking about the forces of chaos, and the Lion, points out that they've all fought chaos by this point. And Vulcan actually says, I mean, these aren't some Xenos, which are basically animals who you can slaughter at whim. And I was like, oh, okay, that's gonna hurt the fanboys a bit. But yeah, I mean, the Vulcan fanboys, I mean, of course, they'll probably love it. I mean, it's such a good book, and it's kind of funny because, of course, because a part of the book is at the start is Guilliman basically trying to summon Vulcan back to Terra for this meeting, to the Imperial Palace, and then he gets there and he's like, "Yeah, I came because you asked, but you're still wrong. You're still." It's just good. I mean, it's a fantastic scene. Chris Wright has fun with us in the book. He talks about how Constantine Valdor, of course, appears, says nothing, and Chris Wright's like, something has changed, wink wink, in Constantine Valdor. Zaranchek Xanthus, I think we have to talk about a bit, Christian, because
we will.
Yeah, I mean, it's just some mad stuff he's working on there. But yeah, the Primarchs, like the big story with the Primarchs in this book is that Guilliman wants to have everybody to come to this council meeting because they would like to discuss, should they stay and fortify the Sol system, conquer Luna, and because Luna is still being held by the traitors at this point in time, and it's not just being held, but it's being held by Titan legions, a significant traitor force.
I think it might be useful for the audience, for like viewers, to like sum up just the brief state of the system. The traitors are running, and the loyalists have taken command. In the beginning, it's just the Ultramarines Legion, but then Leman Russ and the Lion arrives with significant forces, though not as great as the Ultramarines. The traitor Mechanicum still hold Mars and are desperately, we must assume they're terrified, but they are holding there. And the Sons of Horus under Abaddon took Luna during the beginning of the Solar War, the Siege of Terra, and they have basically left a sizable contingent on the moon under the command of the 16th Legion Chief Apothecary, who's basically decided that, okay, Horus is dead, but Abaddon cannot be dead. Again, Abaddon is the man. He cannot be dead, so we are going to hold the moon, and we're going to fight, and we're going to die. And the only people in this entire book who's having fun are the Sons of Horus legionaries on the moon going, a good old-fashioned fight to the death. We cannot win in a scrapyard tunnel. Oh, yeah, old times.
Yes, and we should say, Luna is a really important strategic point in the Sol system. So I know it sounds odd. I was almost tempted to use that clip from the Minions Despicable Me, where he goes, "Tonight we must conquer the moon," and put Guilliman's face on it. But unfortunately,
they really have to do that.
Unfortunately, I didn't have time. However, I will use that in a video almost certainly. But Luna is very important. And there's a really cool little little passage in the book that talks about how Luna was supposed to be this crazy demon world, little sort of thing, that because after Horus planned to conquer Terra, that would have created another Eye of Terror, and then they were going to have Luna kind of orbiting this sort of crazy hole in reality. There was going to be this crazy demon planet. It was, I don't know. I thought that was a really cool little plan. Obviously, it doesn't come to pass, but that was a traitor plan, which is badass. And Luna is the home of the Selenar, ancient enemies of the Emperor, incredible gene witches, and because the traitors have got it, they're able to start cracking out kind of rudimentary space marines who are like basically Thunder Warrior type, shenanigans going on. They're all nuts. They all go crazy, but they are making a lot of them, and they are very strong, and they cause a huge problem for the loyalists. So it's good, and it is quite funny. Yeah. Like you say, like they are basically doing all of this to like save Abaddon and save the traitor command. And whilst there is a quote that says that Lorgar is priority target number one. Apparently, they really want to kill
Dawn
Lorgar.
wants Lorgar.
But and even apparently that has that's been heard. But there is they do. They're just trying to save the traitor command, which is Abaddon exactly. So they have put a lot of faith into the future War Master of Chaos already, which is kind of cool to see. And
also, there's this really cool. This was really cool for me because as you read the Heresy, there's one particular like Legion battle that never really happens. We never really get to see the Sons of Horus versus the Ultramarines. They never face each other. So when the full might of the 13th Legion, 100,000 plus something Space Marines descend on the moon, Guilliman's chief librarian goes, like we haven't actually fought Horus's boys, so this is gonna be interesting. And like they take insane casualties fighting the much, much smaller Sons of Horus contingents on the moon. This was basically the siege in miniature. For once, it is the traitors that get to hold out with ingenuity and tricks and inflict monstrous casualties on the loyalists.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's a really cool scene, and it's a really tough battle for the loyalists, but this is sort of that's where the way the book ends. So that's Guilliman winning the argument, but basically the argument in the book between Dawn and Guilliman is Dawn, the Emperor's eternal crusader. He wants to go out and wreak vengeance upon the traitors, as do all of the traitors. As all of the loyalists. All of the loyalists.
You're not wrong. The traitors, traitors also want to do that.
All of the loyalists. So in this book we have so who have we got? We've got Leman Russ and the Lion. They actually appear in the system together. We see them appear in the system. Corvus Corax is not with them when he should be. We don't know why. His absence is noted, but we don't know what Corvus Corax is doing. They've clearly already planned something for Corvus Corax. Very excited to see what they've come up with for him.
And that's why he's not on the cover.
Yeah, that's why he's not on the cover. Yeah, and then of course, it's basically as you can see on the cover. So then we've got Jagatai Khan, who is like, thank God they didn't forget, nearly dead. He just died, and he is he looks like it. He's got one eye that's bloodshot. He's been held up by two Space Marines.
He's carried.
Yeah, he's having a bad time. And he can only like talk in like small amounts, but even he uses the small amount he can talk to side with Rogel Dawn here. And then you have a Rauderon representing the Blood Angels, which is they just talk about how like they talk about, the book says it's really sad, but then they also say it's also quite funny because of course he is a lot smaller than everybody else there, and so it's almost it would be comical if it wasn't so heartbreaking to have this reminder that Sanguinius has perished. And then you have Constantine Valdor there, who just says nothing, and I think now hates most people. So just an amazing scene. Russ and the Lion being unified. It's my dream. It's all I've ever really wanted. Just incredible. It's one of the things about this book that he writes so well is that he does make it clear that everything is nuts right now. They don't really know what's true. There's even some people aren't even sure if Ferrus Manus is dead. There's even that little kind of thing is coming up. There's all these like theories about what's happening with the Emperor. Obviously, we know the readers the story with the Emperor. He's basically in the same situation that he's in today. But these characters give theories on what the Emperor's doing. Like he's commanding troops across the galaxy, and or he's actually rebuilding the Imperial Palace with his psychic might. All these kind of theories as to what the Emperor is currently doing. But of course, they have no idea that only really Guilliman knows, and a small number of people.
And that's important. As soon as Guilliman gets to Terra, he essentially begins to act like Malcador and the Emperor did. Information is contained, people are cut out of the process of power, and important people are gotten to. Guilliman begins to play politics and essentially cut Rogel out of it immediately.
Yeah.
And I want to highlight something.
I will just say to your point there is that there's also like a aesthetic change there as well, because like the citizens of Terra have gone from living under Imperial Fist rule to Ultramarines rule, and so you get this kind of like subtle Legion differences, because there's a lot of similarities, but of course the Ultramarines are all just they're very they're the ultimate administrators, whereas the Imperial Fist are the fortifiers. So there's got to be that kind of like personal insult as well, where it sort of feels like Guilliman is in charge because he has the most Space Marines, is basically what's gone on.
Yeah, that is essentially. There is a really excellent quote about like prestige. Guilliman had no prestige and all the power, and Rogal Dorn had all of the prestige and none of the power, because he doesn't have. Like, Guilliman feeds Terra, Guilliman supplies Terra, rebuilds Terra. It is his fleet that brings in the medicine and the food. It is his people that staffs the administration. It's his people that gets to the High Lords. And this is a very important. When the opening text says about humanity rising up and seeing a future without Space Marines, that's real. Like, this is the beginning of the era of humans. So if you're only here for Primarchs being awesome and humans just doing what they're told, that period is over.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a really good point. And Guilliman is basically able to play this to his advantage. So in the kind of the key meeting where they discuss this, should they stay and take Luna? Should they fortify the Sol system, or should they, you know, head out, and should they basically try and, you know, kill all the traitors? Because Guilliman has, you know, basically all of the loyalist Primarchs state their opinion to side with Rogal Dorn, and then they think it's over, but then they stand up and go, actually not everyone's voted, and you've got all of these members of the human councils, and pretty much all of them side with Guilliman, and so Guilliman ends up winning it. And again, like, so surprising, the Lion immediately is like, well, if this is what the humans have decided, this is what we will do. And it's, whoa, okay, like, you're being way too reasonable for a Primarch of the Dark Angels. And so that's what they do, and everyone's kind of like, you know, they are annoyed about it. They think Guilliman's making a mistake, but the question is, did he make a mistake?
That is big. Like, you can. This is one of the greatest Guilliman books ever written, and we never get a Guilliman POV, because if you are a critic of Guilliman, if you see him as a power grabbing usurper, this book can play straight into your hands. But also, he is eminently reasonable, and his points make sense. Like, Guilliman is doing the right things, but he's doing them in a very shady way, and Rogal has a point too. Like, this is politics. There's no right, there's no wrong, and everybody has an agenda. And the thing that I dislike Guilliman for, that he starts this meeting with, there should be no more secrets between brothers, and the man has already prepared the council surprise. He has already laid the ground. He has already cut Rogal out of the central command decisions, and Rogal knows it. As soon as Rogal realizes he's beaten, he looks at Guilliman's and go, "You always prepare the ground well."
Yeah.
Guilliman's lying all the time.
Yeah, you can very much see why. Yeah, if you are a Guilliman hater, you'll have a good time. So good. So yeah, no, to be fair, yeah, I mean, Rogal Dorn, I imagine the Imperial Fist fans of the world are going to be beating their chests, and yeah, I mean, also Rogal Dorn is like, he's such a good guy in this book. Like for example, he takes time to like thank individual Space Marines who played key roles in the Siege of Terra, because he knows how fundamental they all were. And you're like, oh, Rogal, you're too good for this brotherhood. You're just a good guy. Which is just amazing. And yeah, I mean, just a fantastic book. But I guess now we get onto the question of did Guilliman make the mistake? Because basically, we find out that there's a reason there's a reason Rabute Guilliman, they're all the same. There's a reason Rabute Guilliman wants to take Luna, and that reason is the black ships of the Salinar, which there's like dozens of them found at the end of the story, and they're all usable. And the reason they need them is because the Imperium needs psychers. Of course, in 40k, this is sort of old news, but they have now discovered that just as during the heresy, they could have the Emperor leave the throne temporarily by basically sacrificing all of these psychers, they now know that they can kind of help the Emperor further, keep him alive, sustain the Golden Throne by sacrificing psychers. And they need psychers very, very soon, because the Emperor's and the Golden Throne is burning through them. And again, like, there is a description from Guilliman, his like official position on what's happening with the Emperor, but he is very clear he doesn't know. He tells us that Guilliman still at this point in time thinks the Emperor is going to heal, as does Rogue Dawn, as does everybody. But so far there is no sign of that. There is, of course, we know he will never will do. But so many people on Terra believe the Emperor is going to be restored one day, and they're still sort of operating in that vein. And when they have the meeting, they do it sort of in the vibe of, the Emperor is going to come back. We all know it, but for now, we know it hurts me, but we must step forward and make these decisions, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, basically, I guess this is the question, is did Guilliman make a mistake? Because he doesn't properly divulge this information to his brothers, the state of the Emperor, but he is right to believe that psykers are necessary. So, I don't know, what's your thoughts, mate?
It's a complicated question, because Guilliman's has two basic... Throughout the book, we think Guilliman's logic is the logic of consolidation, rebuilding, getting Luna, getting Mars, and then slowly growing out. That is a decent argument, and you can support it or not. And then we found out, oh, the throne is falling. And that is a perfect argument. Like, that is the argument he should have used. That is the argument that could maybe have quenched Rogol and Vulcan's thirst for vengeance. That's the thing you should have said. But we literally see this. Like, there is a through line through this book that the characters, all the characters, Loyalist and Traitor, are mad. They are stuck doing the same things over and over. As soon as Guilliman gets to Terra, he makes all the same mistakes Malkador and the Emperor made. Secrecy and compartmentalization and cutting others out and creating distrust. And as soon as, what does the Chaos guys do? As soon as they have an ounce of space, they immediately start plotting for schemes and chaos and the gods again.
Within the soul system. They don't even run away.
and we get this, we get this at all things from an Iron Warrior's perspective. Go like, we are all mad. They're doing the same thing. We are doing the same thing. Why are we doing the same thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's actually quite a funny bit of dialogue I remember between Dawn and Guilliman, where they both basically accuse each other of that, where like Gilliman's like, you're doing the same thing, you just want to go on a great crusade again, that's exactly what happened before, it led us to disaster. And then Rogue Dawn's like, no, you're doing the same thing because you're underestimating the impact of chaos, which is exactly what we did before and led to disaster. So they're basically both accusing each other of this huge mistake, and I guess it's fascinating.
Right.
Yeah, they're both right. And yeah, and it's what Chris Wright does well, is that he can put you in that mindset. He can remind you that they don't have the information that we, the readers, have. And yeah, I mean, so many of the comments on my YouTube channel are just people wondering why didn't they do this? Why don't they do this? And the answer is normally because they don't know. They just don't have that information. Like, you know, Corvus Corax only understands through the heresy exactly what the Primarchs are. The Lion only now understands what the warp is and how the chaos works. It's they learn this information very late into the story, and it explains quite a lot of their mistakes. So just just so good. I loved it. I really didn't think I would. I didn't think I'd enjoy this book. I guess it's just, you know, we know what's going to happen with a lot of this stuff. But like the fact that they can still pull these surprises, like the Chaos Gods being almost killed. Hey up, what is going on here, Chris?
They weren't killed. They made a pullback. The thief hurt them. They burnt their fingers, and they have dissembled into the warp. But they will recover, and they will recover before the Emperor. We know this. He will not recover. They will.
Yeah, but like this is a huge part of their debate as well. That we're talking about here, where Guilliman basically proposes that the Chaos Gods have been killed. The Emperor sort of killed them, and they're not coming back now. And that seems to be supported a little bit because in the story you have a lack of psychic at the start. And in fact, there's when the Ultramarines can finally use psychic powers again, that's like, oh my god, the warp is still the warp. We have it's not been severed, but there is this story about how the Chaos Gods have now pulled back. The Emperor's. I actually reread the Emperor's final scene with Horus just to see if there's any like suggestion that this would happen, and you have the Chaos Gods sort of screaming in pain and that kind of thing, but there was no. I didn't see this coming. This is a really cool twist, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. And there's basically a plan from Lorgar. Lorgar's not in the book, but through his sons, we find out that Lorgar wants to basically sacrifice a lot of people, and this will kind of jumpstart the warp, and the Chaos Gods will come back. But they basically receded into the warp, and they are regaining their strength. We know, of course, they will choose Luther as their kind of like Timu Horus once the Dark Angels head off. But for now, they're waiting to come back, and then.
That's also such an interesting arms race, because the loyalists feel, okay, maybe the Chaos Gods are gone, but maybe they'll come back, and we don't have the Emperor, so we gotta strike down the traitors before the Chaos Gods can rally. And the Word Bearers are like, okay, maybe the gods are wounded, but they'll come back. But if the Emperor comes back now, we don't have a Horus, so we'll lose. And they're both going, oh no, we both lost our biggest warp powers. But like, we know that the Emperor will not come back, and we know the Chaos Gods will recover. Lorgar essentially will get there. But yeah, that's the play. The Word Bearers and Lorgar will force the galaxy into perpetual, eternal war, where the hatred of the loyalist fuels this cycle of war. There's a quote from Star Wars that is applicable here, like, how do you fight the darkness in a war when the darkness owns the war? Like, how Rogel Dawn, the Crusade, he wants the hateful destruction of the traitors. That is what the Word Bearers want him to do. They are desperate to restart this whole heresy war. We need to get back to it. We need to go to war immediately.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's the Chaos Gods are a problem. They're a big problem. And I guess as well, this sort of leads us into, I think, where we're going. There is a, like Perturabo appears in this book, and he, in the Soul System, he is willing to he's starting his journey to demonhood basically in this book. Well, he started really at the end of the Horus Heresy, where he's continuing with that. They've clearly planned out Perturabo's ascension, which I think people are going to be very glad to hear, because a lot of people haven't really understood why Perturabo's a demon prince, and we're finding out he wants to forge everyone into demons. He's almost a little bit nicer in this book, actually. Because one of his sons gets tortured by the Word Bearers, and when Perturabo says, you know what, I'll let you, I'm going to elevate you because you survived. And it's like, Perturabo, that's so kind. But he talks about combining demons with engines, and he wants to create weapons that even the Emperor has never theorized. And demon engines are a big thing in 40k, but I'm curious whether this is going to lead to something bigger, because it is
such an amazing moment. Like, this Iron Warrior has been like, Word Bearers are idiot, Chaos is weak, I will survive. And then Perturabo comes and like, yes, my dad is here, we've killed all the Word Bearers, there will be no chaos. And then he looks into Perturabo's eyes and see the same like fanatic, and Perturabo goes, oh yeah, we will get the Chaos Gods back on our terms, and we will master it, and we will use it, and Chaos will make us stronger. And the Warrior's like, no, that was when you're doing the same thing. You're doing Erebus's thing. No, Dad, why?
There's also this really interesting little quote from Perturabo. I can't remember the exact wording, but he talks about how he wants his own realm. He talked about he wants his own realm in the warp, and how that's going to be used to turn them into the ultimate fighting force, etc. And I hope that's a sign of things to come in 40k. I think you could put that. Of course they have Medrengard, but the idea that the Iron Warriors have got their own little dimension or something, I think you could slip this in. This could be pretty badass, and I hope that that's a thing. He also very hilariously, just unceremoniously, just slaughters Word Bearers around him. Incredible. Yeah, the Lord of Iron, pretty excited. But yeah, he makes a big distinction in the book that he is not the same as Lorgar. Lorgar is just this sycophant, soon to be demon prince, I guess, and Perturabo is going to master the warp, master forces of chaos.
Through the eyes of this one warsmith, we're like it's really like Chaos is like, ladies and gentlemen, we got Perturabo. we know they got him. Like he's doing the mistake, and this one POV Iron Warrior is like, oh no, he's doing the same thing. We are doing the same thing over and over again. Why do we keep doing this?
Yeah, and I think it's sort of a good. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how it plays out, because seeing them try and do the same thing again can be a bit dull, but objectively it does sort of explain why Perturabo descends into demonhood, because he is trying to do what everybody tries to do, which is master chaos, and so far only the Emperor in theory has ever managed to actually do that to some degree, but we'll see whether that works. But Yeah, just overall incredible. Anything else you want to talk about, mate?
I like the fact that Perturabo knows that Rogel Dawn is coming to find out this word bearer thing that's going to restart the war. So he bulldozes it in such a way that it is clear he did it, but in such a way that they can never prove he did it.
Yes.
It's his final dig to Rogel before he leaves the Sol system.
Yes, you're right. So basically, Archimus finds out that he finds evidence of the word bearers on this moon, and then goes to tell Rogel. When Rogel gets there, it's just been flattened by Perturabo. So yeah, I guess we'll see. But it's kind of a bit of a twist in and of itself, because I assumed, as I think probably most people would have done, when I read The End of the Death Volume 3, Perturabo was far away by this point. He'd fled. He'd fled Horus. So to just have him come back to the Sol system is incredible. But so far, none of the loyalists have gone beyond the Mandeville point and translated to Chaos. So they're all still around.
If you're a fan of Sigismund, this is the book for you. He has a brief appearance where he is amazing. He's like, yes, everyone on Terra is a moron. They should be worshipping Rogel Dawn for saving them. If Dawn gives the order, I'll start the crusade right now. Just me and this rusty ship. Let's go get him. Send me after them, boss. I'm ready. Like, we're gonna crusade now. We're never gonna stop. Yeah.
No, so good. And Chris Ray, he gives us all these little moments. Sigismund, Horswain, little characters you definitely want to be like, oh, what happened to them? There's still some big holes, but that's very deliberate. So let's jump in chat for a bit. Sari, thank you for the gift memberships. Please thank Sari if you get one. Like Christian, she's a mod on the channel, and I'm very grateful for your guys' work, making sure I don't get insulted and no one makes fun of my hair. It's all very useful. Backflip bro, welcome to the channel. Do jump in Discord, and we'll check out extra members content as well. So where were we? So how about Basilio Foe kind of down low shaping the Imperium? Yeah, this is probably going to need a whole video. This is wild. So if you've watched my video on the Terminus Decree, the real Terminus Decree, not this crappy Grey Knights Codex lore that YouTubers push, this is not real. They're in the actual Terminus Decree lore, Basilio Foe created the ultimate weapon to kill traitor space marines or any kind of space marines, a tailored warp biological weapon that would destroy them in this realm and the warp. Perfect weapon, and almost gets used by the custodians at the end of the heresy, and they take it at the end of the heresy. So the custodians have got their hands at the moment on this perfect weapon, and presumably they will hand it over to the Grey Knights once the Grey Knights are back. However, Basilio Foe, despite the fact that the original Basilio Foe was killed by the custodian Ammon at the end of the heresy, he is still rocking about in the form of Zaranchek Xanthus, a clone. He's the cloned body of one of the chosen of Malkador, who is desperately working to start the Inquisition. So a bit of a subplot in this book. There are libraries on Terra being burned, even the library of the Emperor, and information is being got rid of, and it's being, the general idea being that they want to protect people from chaos, blah blah blah. And Zaranchek Xanthus raises the relatively sensible point that, someone's going to have to understand chaos and how the warp works, because we're going to need to fight against it. And he is such a Machiavellian villain in this story. And there's I think 40k fans typically do like these guys, because of course 40k has a lot of the who's the good guy really, but Zaranchek Xanthus, Basilio Foe, is the ultimate bad guy. He is trying to get his hands on the ultimate weapon. He is trying to start the Inquisition, which arguably has made some mistakes in Warhammer 40k, and he will go on to start the worst aspects of the Inquisition. He will start Xanthism, this idea that he wants to use chaos to defeat chaos. He's going to start Harusianism. He's going to try and clone Horus Lupercal.
Yeah.
So it's so good. This is a crazy, amazing character that the writers are playing around with, and where this go. It's according to the old Warhammer 40k lore, he will still live for I think about 1400 years post heresy, and so he's going to cause a lot of damage to the Imperium in that time. And the other founding member of the Inquisition, Kirill Sinderman, who's
I love that he's still around.
Yeah, he comes in the Beast Ariser series. He's got another 1,000 years or so. He basically convinces Sinderman to start properly the Inquisition, and it was originally sort of temporarily started by Rogel Dawn, but the Sinderman presumably is going to get permission from the High Lords and properly begin the Inquisition, which is a fucking crazy story. So Yeah, you're exactly right, mate. Like the Basilio Foe is doing so much to shape this early Imperium, and I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a wild ride. Yeah.
Also, like, I like the fact that the which Moriana is the Moriana that becomes Abaddon's
Oh yeah.
Moriana thing. It's still in the air because Moriana Mulhausen
Yeah.
is kind of going blind, and she's investigating chaos, and it's very shady. And
So
poor
true.
Khalid Hassan is trying to be like, that's Malkador's main man. He's like trying to figure out his place, and he ends up becoming the master of assassins in an amazing scene. Where the League of Assassins like, guy, we need someone to be our boss. Can you be our boss? And we'll get you a seat on the council. Let's go threaten the master of the administratum.
Yeah, and again, really cool, throwback to Chris Wright's other books. And we know in 40k just how powerful the Assassinorum in the Imperium is, and it can literally shape the Imperium. So the Chosen of Malkador, there's quite a funny bit where the Chosen of Malkador in the book basically realize they fucked up, and they basically realize that they've ruined their own order because they have sided with the wrong people, and they no one trusts them anymore. But that doesn't last for long, because now they're all incredibly important and going to go on to shape the Imperium, and potentially, as you say, Christian, the forces of chaos, because Moriana is a prophetess in the 40k who advises Abaddon himself, and is very important in that regard, behind so many of Abaddon's actions, most likely the destruction of Cadia, realizing the Primarch's coming back, all of this stuff. So finding out more about her is going to be wild. And there's another Moriana who's basically the witch Acte in Warhammer 40k combined with another character called Moriana. So it's I mean, yeah, we're going to see this. There's still a lot for us to find out.
Just to highlight for the audience how the politic plays out, Guilliman realizes that if he can get the master of the administratum, like the kind of prime minister of the Imperium, if he can get him, he can get the other human high lords. So he gets him by basically promising him infinite resources and infinite money if he works for Guilliman. And the master of the administratum said yes, and he then browbeats and persuades the master of the astropath, the general of the army, the admiral of the navy, like all the other high lords are bullied into place by the master of the administratum, who is then himself kind of bullied into place by the appearance of the assassins, because assassins don't work on Primarchs. You cannot really threaten a Primarch with an assassin to get them to do what you want. They don't care. You won't work. But you can
Conrad Kurz disagree with you there, mate.
yeah, he wanted this to. But you can absolutely threaten the other High Lords. So while the Administratum and the Admech and the army and the navy can rule the Imperium, the assassins can threaten to kill them. So they get a seat on the council.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, and again, it's like you say, it's Guilliman sort of playing everybody else, really, because he doesn't, instead of just speaking to Dawn, he tricks him by manipulating human politicians, which is bizarre. Yeah. Hi all. Who arrived after the Ultramarines? The Dark Angels of the Space Wolves. The Dark Angels of the Space Wolves are the last to arrive, basically, in this book. Everybody else is already there, but we do see them arrive, and their ships are pretty badly damaged. There's like a bit of a note to that, but the other thing is that, of course, they've just come from purging traitor homeworlds and having a great time in that regard. Hey Salmon, I appreciate your stream and love how you discuss the lot. I will be binge watching every single one of your episodes. Thank you very much. At the same time, the decision to disband the legions was the correct one, but I don't think it should stay. Yeah, that they are working on sort of Guilliman's new Imperium in this book. There is a talk about how the new Space Marines are going to get more psycho-indoctrination and things like that. But yes, the proper breaking of the legions is, I think, going to get its own book. And of course, once again,
Rogel sword coming. Rogel sword coming.
If you're a Guilliman hater, you're probably gonna love this series. Oh my god, no
Rogel
doubt.
Calls it straight to the lion at Russ's face. Guilliman is our de facto new emperor. He will browbeat us. He'll hand it over to the mortals, and he'll come for your legions next.
Yeah. I mean, he Guilliman like talks about how he does say in front of everybody. Like everybody that matters, Guilliman talks about how, change, we need to have change, and then Rogel Dawn just goes, with you at the helm, I guess. And then it's like, ooh, that's how I imagined it in my head. Everyone said, ooh. I'd love to know whether the audiobook did have people going, ooh, in the background, because it is.
They did. Like Dawn straight up says that if my father does not waken soon, he'll find himself usurped by a new emperor. Like, they're not mincing words. This is Guilliman, as his critics always despise him for it.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I've talked about this in an upcoming video where the custodians are seemingly going to join in this viewpoint, because yeah, I mean, it is quite funny. And you know what, it is nice to have, in a way. I don't know if you'd agree with this, Christian, but in 40k, I don't like to use too much meme language like Mary Sue and all that kind of thing, but Guilliman does seem to crush it. He does seem to crush it in 40k. It's really hard to criticize him. He is learning from his mistakes. He is, basically more powerful than before, because he's got these kind of gifts from the Emperor, and he's reforming the Imperium, and every decision that he makes is basically proved right. And so to have this series released alongside 40k, where we've got Guilliman making, I like, even if his overall aims aren't wrong, the way he's going about things, there's just error after error, and so he's
redoing the old Malcador secrets gamey stuff. Like, and he didn't have to. Like, they have this entire character's going like, maybe we can't help ourselves. Maybe as soon as we get to Terra, we're trapped in this snake pit where we all lie and betray and keep secrets all the time. We could just, and Guilliman goes, no more secrets between Primarchs, to his brother's face, and then he doesn't tell them anything.
Yes, I think Dawn does call him out on that, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
And because like exactly as you say, and like again, very bizarre line from the lion to be like, to step forward, and it's like the lion, of course. I think Chris Ray writes like, the lion of course is the one to step forward in this instance, and I was like, is it? Of course. And he's like, guys, as long as we're on the same side, what does it matter? And I'm like, who are you? who is this reasonable man? You're not my Primarch. But yeah, if you're a lion fan, you'll love it. I was hoping for more Dark Angels internal like conflict, I guess. I wanted to see Coursewain's thoughts on the lion, but we'll see. It's all yet to come. You can only ask so much from Chris Ray, but we do get to see
the lion a little angry, because Dawn does poke the Imperium Secundus button. What did you and Guilliman do out there, Imperium? And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Don't talk about that. We were doing war.
But so good. I mean,
Also, I love when Dawn, the first time we see Dawn when he's talking to Akamus and describing, like, carrying his father's dead corpse basically to the throne, and the Emperor said something that might have been now or no, and Rogel places him on the throne. So new final word for the Emperor. We don't even know what now or no. And the Emperor has one last look of terror, and Rogel swears to him right there that he will kill all the traitors, and he will bring back the Imperium just as it was. And you really feel for Rogel through this book. Like, he's so sympathetic.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think there's even a suggestion that carrying the Emperor's body had like I may be reading too much into it, but had like a physical impact on Dawn. Just the act of putting him on the Golden Throne really affected him. And I think that does make sense, because, of course, being in the presence of the Emperor in 40k is quite the feat. So it's, I'll definitely be rereading these chapters when I make the video, but or videos probably. But yeah, we'll see.
An unsung hero I want to mention, Thagrius Kane, the Fabricator Locum, current Fabricator, like the Fabricator General, the guy they took from Mars. He is kind of the hero of this book. He has very few lines, but he spends his entire time in the dungeon desperately trying to save the Emperor. Like, the Golden Throne is rapidly becoming this, like, city-sized monstrosity of pipes and horror and ridiculousness, because the Edmec are desperately trying to keep the Emperor alive.
Yes, and that is an old Chris Ray quote again. Like, that is the Golden Throne being a city is a 40k quote as well. So it's just amazing. And it's kind of funny because they're sort of like, it's a really interesting thing, because so much of this is stuff we know as the readers. We know, of course, what's going to happen with the Emperor, but like them discovering things is still giving us new insights. Like you say, like the fact that the Emperor seemingly allegedly did utter a word at the end that's new stuff to us, and to have that officially is gives us stuff to think about. A couple of super chats. Guilliman using the Blood Angels to coup the other Primarchs by using them to procure the black ships because Sanguinius is dead is wild.
Yeah. That is shady. That is shady from Guilliman. That is shady shit from him.
And like the Blood Angels get a bit of a hard time in this. I mean, not only is their Primarch dead, but they basically get told they're kind of shit now. Like you guys can't even kill people anymore. Like even the fact that the Ultramarines are better in like close quarters and helping the Blood Angels out is like a thing. And they're like, yeah, isn't just like ripping people apart your guys' stuff? Like
they say the Blood Angels are afraid, but they never say what. But we, the reader, know that they're afraid of themselves. They remember what they were. They're terrified of becoming that thing again. And Chris Raid is too subtle to have it, because like Epidemi and Praetus doesn't know that. We know that as a reader.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, it is true. They the Black Rage. I mean, there must be a lot of people on Terra that know about it, because of course they turned on the loyalists at the end. And so they're like, why are we working with the guys in red? Aren't they bad guys? But yeah, it's I mean, just incredible, really. And I mean, the Blood Angels storylines I am really excited for, because we have a big difference, of course, between the Iron Hands and the Blood Angels, and how they kind of react to their Primarch's deaths. And I quite like a book with both of those factions in together, because like you say, there is this, that they are worried about what they'll become, but there is also this issue of the Iron Hands kind of dwelling too much in their Primarch's death, which again also turns them into something that they never really wanted to be. RJS, by the end of the book, are the Imperials still expecting that Biggie will soon recover and retake the reins? Pretty much. That is the thought process. Again, no one knows, and Guilliman does admit, when he does finally tell people stuff, that they don't know what's going on with the Emperor. But they can't save him. Like the Emperor, they all hope he's healing, but like no matter how hard the Edmec and Valdor's people try, like the Emperor isn't getting better, and they're kind of worried. There's this utterly like this is such an insane scene. When you read the end of the death, you think they put the Emperor on the throne and it's a solemn moment. It's not solemn at all. As soon as the Emperor's kind of corpses on that thing, surgeons and priests and chirurgeons from Mars swarm him like ants with scalpels and blood bags and weird esoteric machines. Yeah.
The Emperor is immediately reduced to a piece of meat in a machine. Like there is no respect at all. It's just keep this thing alive, whatever it takes.
Yes, and I will probably actually just stress that, because people will, of course, ask. Guilliman is clear. The Emperor is alive in this book. He is still alive. He's just looks dead. But
there is one moment where Rogel and Rage talk about like the Emperor died, and Arcane was like, what? It is Rogel's fear. Rogel fears that what he brought to the throne is a corpse.
Yeah,
but he is alive, but it is touch and go.
Yeah. So I guess that's, I mean, I don't know if that will be a book in and of itself, or whether this will slowly happen throughout the series, but at some point it is going to dawn on the Primarchs that the Emperor is not coming back, and that is going to be brutal. Guilliman and the Dawn especially are both kind of expecting it. I imagine the Khan will be able to know the truth, because after Ashes of the Imperium, like I talked about this a little bit in a previous stream, Jagatai Khan's kind of seen the other side, so I think he'll have, once he regains his strength, I think he'll be able to provide some pretty useful information, because the Loyalist Primarchs don't have a Psyker, they don't have this proper understanding of the warp, and so that will be really important, I think. But I guess we'll see. Let's do another question. It does feel like they really focus on Rabute being a usurper in Archmagos and Ashes. Not that he wants the throne or that power, but that people don't trust him and think he does. Yeah, I mean, I guess, yes, you're pretty much right. I mean, the interesting thing, I guess, is sort of this switching of the mentality of the Lion and Guilliman. For me, the Lion in the Heresy makes a lot of the correct decisions, like continuously, but the way that he does it, and the fact that he's not willing to reveal information to Guilliman and Sanguinius, makes those decisions sort of, it doesn't matter that he causes more harm than he would have solved by doing the right thing. And Guilliman's kind of taken that mantle now. He is, he's right to focus on keeping the Emperor alive, of course, but the way he's going about it is creating more harm than than is necessary, because he's just not like the why he's not telling Rogal Dawn the proper information. I just don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's just a blunder, and so that's going to be wild. And in 40k, I don't think you get this. I think if anything in 40k you get more the opposite complaint, where Guilliman hasn't really made too many errors. I think people would like him to, because it would be more interesting. But
to be fair, the Guilliman in 40k spends all his time, like in the latest book, complaining about every decision he's taking in this book is wrong. Like he complains, I alienated my brothers, I broke up the Legion, I did this. Like every decision Guilliman is taking now, for the best of reasons, is something he will regret 10,000 plus years later. He will have long discussions with a very confused Cato Sicarius about, like, I shouldn't have done this and I shouldn't have done that. And Cato goes, please, Dad, could you not?
Well, the next big 40k campaign, I mean, obviously, Ashes of the Imperium, it's really, it's the prequel to the Captain Titus story. And the 500 Worlds is really, in all seriousness, to your point there, Christian, that 500 Worlds is Rabute Guilliman's attempt to recreate Ultramar, because he, again, not only does he regret breaking up the 500 Worlds, he regrets breaking up Ultramar and realizes it probably would have been stronger to be unified. So it adds some weight narratively to 500 Worlds for me, because this is the 500 Worlds for the first time in 10,000 years, realistically, which is going to be pretty badass. So I hope that we that comes up in the lore. Can Primarchs provide more GNC to make more Space Marines? Yes, I guess genetic material. Yeah, they could. That definitely could be used. I assume that there's no reason that couldn't happen, but I guess right now they don't need to. In actual fact, Rogal Dawn, one of the things he points out in this book is that they are rearming and rebuilding pretty quickly on Terra, and they're building up their numbers relatively promptly. So they're okay for resources actually right now. It's more the fact that now that Horus is gone, they've got to take advantage of this time period, and Guilliman has hurt them. It's sort of fascinating, because the Ultramarines, like this whole arc of the Ultramarines is wild to me, because if you're an old 40k fan, you'll probably have thought something along the lines of Rabute Guilliman was incredibly important in the Heresy, because he hastened Horus's defeat, because he urged Horus to lower the shields on the flagship and allow the Emperor to teleport on. This, of course, was kind of retconned in the Heresy, and that's not really what happens, because by the time Guilliman gets to the Sol System, he's too late. Yeah, he basically has no impact on the final fight. But he is instrumental in the clear-up. That's where the Ultramarines were so key, and blunting so many of the traitors in that aspect did so much. But now the Guilliman's making this decision, he's sort of undoing the good work that he and the Ultramarines did. So it was like their arc is kind of all over the place.
And this is why this is such a good book for Guilliman, because for a book that never actually gives us any Primarch POV chapters, and I've seen people complain about that. I disagree with that complaint, but I've seen it. Like, we get to see Guilliman do a lot of really, really smart things. I have seen a lot of people say everything Guilliman does is perfectly reasonable and the right thing, and you can agree with that. Like, on the surface, Guilliman's policies are very, very, very right. It's just the way he goes about it is suspect as hell, and he comes off like you. I don't know about other people. I sat there going, "You're annoying me, Guilliman," and you feel for his brothers. You understand why they find him an overbearing, annoying asshole.
You know what the only thing was that sort of like annoyed me, like personally, and I assume this is deliberate, but I guess I wanted to miss the Primarchs more, as in, like, they're not around in 40k. And I think part of like, for example, with the Lion and Russ, them being like bros now is awesome for me, because I get to like fantasize in my Dark Angel's brain about this incredible moment when Russ comes back and the Lion and Russ go on these awesome crusades. I wanted to miss Guilliman's relationship with the other Primarchs, but now I'm anticipating some sort of reckoning. And can you imagine? Could you imagine Rogal Dawn, when Rogal Dawn comes back now? He's like, "I'm not one to say I told you so, Guilliman."
But I told you so.
But yeah, it will be wild. The blank, they paint Rabute in a very negative light, in my opinion. He embodies all the criticisms his brothers give him to the utmost. Yeah, I mean, you're pretty much right. I mean, the funny thing about Guilliman, I guess, because like, of course, the Lion accuses Guilliman of heresy in the Heresy, where he's like, he nearly attacks the Ultramarines before Gonorag does has them attack the Ultramarines. And so the reason he accuses him of heresy is because everybody has always apparently accused Guilliman of being a legion builder, because even by the time the Emperor had found him, he'd already got this whole like bunch of systems under control. And so he always saw himself as a mini Emperor. And now he is basically acting like a mini Emperor. And it's I guess you put it in great words, Christian, where like the final aspect of the Emperor that he really needed was the secrecy of Malcador and all this nonsense, and the fact that he's doing it is I guess does paint him in a bad light, as you say there, brother.
Yeah. Like there was a question that people asked in the chat, like, how angry is Vulcan? Like, let me paint you a picture. The salamanders with Vulcan have basically lost their faith in common humanity. They're like, why are we fighting for these idiot people? Vulcan is so furious, he's described as beast-like and enraged while being calm. He deliberately have his Marines goad Emperor's Children's Marine to him so that he can painfully dismantle them with his bare hands and rip their body parts of them like with a trapped insect, while being perfectly like reasonable and with his full mind, and then do it again and again and again. And he basically says, if the Imperium were to die in our pursuit of vengeance, that would be right. Like, if I can destroy the traitors and it loses mankind, I am fine with that. That is how bad Vulcan is. Vulcan is not nice anymore. Vulcan is furious.
Yeah. It's great development for the character, really, isn't it? To be honest with you, because he spends a lot of, realistically, he spends a lot of the heresy kind of unconscious or mad, and so he or behind the scenes, and so seeing him. We want to see more Vulcan, really, I think, don't we? Did the Chaos Gods... Sorry.
If you're wondering what did it, Vulcan left the palace very early and has been seeing all the things the Empress children did to the people of Terra. He's been following up on Fabius Bile's work. He's been finding the literal like fields of hundreds of thousands of people buried like in the earth, like corpse plants. There is an entire river at one point, like a full-on river, that is just the blood from all the billions of people that died in the Himalaya. Like, Terra is this Dante Inferno nightmare, and Vulcan has been walking through it, killing Empress children with his bare hands and going like, these people have to die. All of them.
Yes. And that is like a throwback to, an old 40k plotline, really. The Salamanders have long hated Fabius Bile, and it was said it was because of what he did on the Siege of Terra. So it was a good use of that, I think, by Chris Raitt there. Sandman of Terra. Did the Chaos Gods nearly die because Horus died? Does that mean if they empower Abaddon and he dies, they will take damage again? I will say, we're talking about warp stuff here, and we're talking about people's opinions and perceptions of what's going on. So the idea... There is this theory, yes, there is this theory in the books that the Chaos Gods were deeply wounded by the death of Horus. Exactly why is not clear, but perhaps because they just invested so much power in him that when the Emperor kills Horus, that kills the power in him or something like that. The way Horus dies, of course, is an entirely unique thing. You have the Emperor, basically, I guess the way I read it is you have the Emperor channeling the faith of humanity into this Athame dagger, like this ancient blade, which goes into Horus, and which has got the force of chaos on it. So it's a very unique death. They were never going to see this again. And so, it looks like it's done some genuine damage to them, and they have gone off to recoup. But allegedly, they will pull back to Caliban, of course, because we need to see Caliban be destroyed, and they will invest at least some of their power into the Chaos Gods. So we can be pretty confident they're going to come back. I think if you read a couple of the 40k books, the Chaos Gods are mentioned, so we can be pretty sure they're alive. But they have suffered a wound, and as to whether that could happen again, I guess it's in that realm of we just don't know. When Guilliman has the power of the Emperor flowing through him, he does threaten Nurgle. He says, he does kind of a Liam Neeson, "I will find you, I will kill you" speech. And whether that's possible, who knows? And he burns the Garden of Nurgle, which is said to have hurt Nurgle himself. So maybe it's just the power of the Emperor is such that he can wound the Chaos Gods. But yeah, I guess we'll see.
The word bearers, unsurprisingly, spends a lot of time trying to figure out if their gods are still alive and what they're going to do. And ultimately, like through a lot of sacrifice and a lot of blood, they managed to summon one demon. And the word bearer asks the
Yeah.
demon, like, what's going on? And the demon goes, yes, like, I know where I am in time. This is
Yeah.
after the thief heard us. The thief heard us, and all the choirs of the Neverborn, from the lowest to the highest, howled out in pain. And the old four like had to pull back because it hurt so much. And they have sort of dissipated into the warp, and they will coalesce again because they are the sentient cloud of all the things we do. But right now they are weak, and the thing that we have to worry about, will the thief, they consistently refer to the Emperor as the thief, will he recover before they recover? And the word bearers are like, yes, we're gonna get the gods back by doing like horrible chaosy ritual stuff and war, and that's gonna get the gods back. And we know the gods will return before the Emperor. Like, we have, it's not questionable, it's just a thing. Like, we know in this new age the god comes to the light. The chaos gods are very much a thing in 40k, obviously. But right now, at this very moment, there were no Emperor and there were very little chaos god. Everybody was in quite a flux for a little bit there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Lala, member for 22 months. Thank you so much. Can't stress enough. Missing this because of work, but love the content. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah, you can. Yeah, it will stay up, so you can catch it. I won't edit this down because this is going to be pretty raw, and I think I'll probably have Christian on again. But yeah, I think we'll talk about certain aspects of the book that we want to talk about. I mean, certainly what's going on with the Chaos Gods. There's yeah, definitely going to be a whole thing, and I guess maybe we need to do a back and forth on Rabute Guilliman. Maybe you can take pro Guilliman and I'll take anti, or the other way around, and we can debate whether Guilliman's a good Primarch. We can have some fun with it. Where were we?
There's this amazing, moment where our Iron Warrior POV guy go like, in this moment, we cannot blame anything on the Chaos Gods. We cannot ascribe anything to the Chaos Gods. And what do? We destroy and murder and betray. We are the problem. They were not the problem. The problem were within us all along. We needed them as an excuse.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, and I guess it's sort of, I guess it's kind of a hilarious mirror that you have the Imperial side fractured and the traitor side fractured, and yeah, how this is all going to shape up is just wild. There's so many strings. I mean, one of the things about this book that I'm sure you felt as well, Christian, there's also some things by their absence are making you wonder. Like I already mentioned, Corvus Corax. Corax, they've clearly already planned something for him. They're going to have him, doing his whatever clandestine activities that he wants, because I think he's got 100 years left or so before he will, of course, head into the Eye of Terror. So yeah, there's that, and then also the Sons of Horus kind of sacrificing themselves for Abaddon is already like amazing. Average Miniatures, you're the man. Member for a year, thank you so much. Yeah, one Lawmas to another, brother. Thank you so much. Do you think this Star Child theory is going to lead up to a Dark King story? The Star Child isn't really in this book at all. It's not really mentioned. Again, like I say, the characters in this book, they don't understand what the Star Child is, and so it won't. They don't understand a lot of what we know as the readers, so it won't get mentioned by them whatsoever. And yeah, I mean, maybe Baldur will discover something about the Star Child. But which will spur on his leave of the Imperial Palace, but I guess we will see. But yeah, in terms of will it lead to a Dark King story, there is an obvious kind of opposite there, that for a 40k campaign, one day in the future that you have a rising Star Child and a rising Dark King character and go opposite. But I am yet to figure out who the Dark King would be in 40k, so I am hesitant to throw in my lot with that plot line. But yeah, I hope it comes up. Sorry.
Not really the Dark King, but like, it's interesting. The Emperor is already becoming this fractured, like, radiant abomination thing that he is in modern 40k. Khalid Hassan, Malkador's man, tries to get close to it, and like, being near the throne already now blackens the custodian's armor, and human beings cannot get close. Like, already now he's this raging, screaming void, and it's just gonna get worse.
Yes, I mean, there is this suggestion that the Warp Rift under the Imperial Palace is opening or something like that, and so the Emperor is having to, of course, keep it closed. But yeah, according to Dan Abner, if to go in there, you would be ripped apart at the very least by warp madness. So yeah, who knows? No Ingo Peck in Ashes of the Imperium. No Ingo Peck. I don't think we have good Ingo Pecks in Dropside Massacre and enough of him in the Siege of Terror. So we're not wanting for Ingo Peck, I don't think. But yeah, I think I'll talk about him actually maybe tomorrow. I'm having another friend on called Josh who we're going to talk about Alpha Legion tomorrow. He's a big Alpha Legion fan. So maybe we'll talk about Ingo Peck there actually. So yeah, we'll bring your questions then, I guess. This channel is clearly Dark Angel's propaganda. Yes, it is. Yeah, well, thank you.
Yes, it is. The inner circle. The inner circle. Who
by the way, as is my right. Like you might have noticed on the channel, if you ever comment something ridiculously pro your Primarch, I'll let you have that. I don't mind. If you want to have a reading of Guilliman that he's never made any errors, I'll let you have it. It's fine. But I'm allowed to have my ridiculous fanboyism for the Lion. I think that's fine. But so good character development doesn't mean it's good for morality. That's true. I think that I assume that was about Vulcan. But I think we do want to have him kind of have some issues, because of course Vulcan is going to make a very bizarre decision. He is going to basically abandon his sons and leave them with a very complicated treasure hunt to do, and that is sort of weird. And so why he does this is, going to be a big question. And I guess all of this is building towards that, just as we see Perturabo's actions sort of building towards him becoming a demon prince. I mean, it seems to be the case he's going to try and bend Chaos to his will, and maybe that will just backfire, and that's why he ends up becoming enslaved to them. And so who knows? Or maybe in his mind he wins. Maybe Perturabo will become some sort of unique demon prince type creature in the setting, and we know so little about him as a demon Primarch, so I guess we'll see. But yeah, I did wonder as well. There's a couple of comments about Vashtor. I do wonder whether we will get some Vashtor appearance in the Scouring. I've been very surprised to see so much Vashtor in Warhammer 40k lore. Either he or his servants appear in. I think probably. I think I counted about 7 books the other day, including short stories, which is a lot. I mean, only like Belisarius Call was introduced and got that much attention. If you think about how much attention the Lions got, and the Lions' return was at the same time as Vashtor's.
Vashtor has absolutely outshone him.
Yeah, by a long way. So yeah, you can really see that. But hey ho. I think they simply lost power because the power they gave is simply warp juice, and now the warp juice has gone back to the unclaimed pool called the wider warp. I guess, yeah. I mean, they'll probably use an ocean metaphor in their description.
They like ocean metaphors.
Yeah, they love an ocean metaphor for the warp. And when you say to the writers, but that doesn't make sense, they go, yes, that's correct. It doesn't make sense. And that's, I guess, yeah, that's the nice thing about writing the Chaos Gods, is you can, as long as you write some flowery language, we as 40k fans have to accept it, because the warp is not supposed to make sense to us, I guess. But hey ho. Maybe 40k Chaos Gods are just Kegarak pranking everyone. I will be really interested to see the reaction of the Xenos races, and I think we will get that, because in the Siege of Terra, occasionally they do chuck a chapter to the Eldar and say, hey, the crazy times. And then it goes back to the
What is the Monkey doing?
Yeah.
Destroying creation. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like, I hope. Like, there was so much underground construction because the Admech has to make sure the whole palace doesn't collapse, so they have to, like, shore up the foundations. I hope someone just kind of found Ingo Pesh, just somewhere where they were, like, filling in Rockreed. Like, hey, we got a guy down here.
For sure. Brian Barron, aren't the Word Bearers the only truly organized legion there left, not broken into war bands who operate on their own terms? Sort of. I mean, there is this wording in one of the codexes that talks about the Legion being sort of split between Erebus's half and Corferon's half. But they generally do operate as a legion, and if Lorgar summons them, I think they will all come. But the Iron Warriors as well. In the Iron Warriors Year of Adventures books, there is this wording used about how they kind of worship Perturabo. They don't think Perturabo made any mistakes, some of them, and so he basically can command them all as a legion. That is not a problem whatsoever. So they're basically still cracking on. And then Abaddon controls the Black Legion, which of course is now sort of its own thing, but in that respect he does sort of, you know, I've always assumed that means he controls most of the remnant Sons of Horus, but who knows. Magnus the Red, I mean, even like non-Thousand Sons characters can control Rubricae, so I think it depends on how many Rubricae you can get his hands on. So yeah, but I don't know. And then to be fair, increasingly in 40k, just as Christian talks about, Guilliman has noticed that he sort of made some errors. So the Space Wolves in their book, they're now allowed to operate basically as a legion again. In Hellbreck, he gives the Black Templars and the okay to kind of go as large as they want, and the Dark Angels have always sort of ignored the rules of the Codex, so that's no problem. And then the Blood Angels are semi-Codex compliant, but they do have their own roles and that kind of thing.
And an interesting thing that I struggled with this book, a very important character was conspicuously absent. Euphrates Keeler. Everybody talks about her. Everybody is like, Emperor worship is now called being a Keelerite. And like, the Guilliman wants it stamped out through the Administratum. That's not gonna work because millions and millions of people on Terra saw what Keeler did. And like, it's hard to deny the Saint when the Saint literally saved the Imperium. And I like that Sigismund also went like idiots, fools. I was there at the mountain. She's amazing. I should never have let her go. Like, I should have kept her close. I want Keeler and Sigismund buddy cop duo in front of the galaxy. Give me this. Yeah.
No, that's a great point. I think the last we see of her is her kind of beginning to pray at the end of the heresy. So yeah, she is absent, and there is still this kind of anti-religious mentality in the book. So they're not okay with religion right now. That's for sure. But eventually the Primarchs will all be gone, and so it will end up taking over. But yeah, I can't wait to see more Sigismund and Rogel Dawn, because like I think he handled it quite well, because because in the Horus Heresy we have that amazing scene where Rogel Dawn basically unleashes Sigismund. My son, do now what you were made to do, or something like that, he says. And it's an incredible scene. So for him to kind of recall Sigismund and say, we're going off to fight Perturabo, always seemed a bit weird. But because Sigismund is now basically worshipping his father as a demigod and as the person making all the right decisions and the Emperor's, crusading hand, then it makes sense, and he'll be very happy to do it. But I still think Dawn will probably be quite uneasy around his son. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's really not a question of Dawn recalling Sigismund so much as Dawn joining Sigismund on Team Let's Go absolutely do some crusade.
Yeah, I mean, team everybody but Guilliman already. I guess we'll see. So let's do some more questions. Do we agree that Sire Vanus has Maladies remains in the coffin when he talks to Hassan? So yeah, I mean,
Malkados remains. Yeah, that would make sense.
Oh, Maladies remains. Right. So yes, I think that's what you're saying. Yes, so that is a plot line in the book that they're trying to find Malkador's remains, and there's a rumor that they've been spirited away, and then they I think they know where they are now. So I guess we'll see. They will end up, of course, being handed to the Grey Knights, but until that point, who knows? But Malkador's remains are both a cursed object and the object of reverence. So who knows? So how do important characters get brought before the throne and not destroyed? So I guess it's a good question. I mean, into the few characters that have seen the Emperor, I've always presumed they just have some sort of protection from the Master of Mankind that allows them to do it. Like, he can just kind of protect anybody if he concentrates. But I mean, we don't really know. I mean, I imagine Guilliman can just be in there, but in terms of the mortals who have been into the throne room, we don't really know. Yeah,
it's also
not really
a question of distance. Like, Hassan can barely see the Emperor in the distance, so he's technically in the room before he starts vomiting and feeling bad. Alicia, and then not a lot of people actually get to see the Emperor. Alicia Dominica, the sister of battle founder lady, she gets there, but not a lot of ordinary humans go in to see the Emperor basically ever. Like
Yeah,
it's like unless you count like Jack Draco and the really weird old lore, which no one counts anymore. But
yeah. No, that's true. That's true. So where were we? We are the warp Corvus Correx to unconscious demon. Maybe. Where were I? Let's do some members chats. If this is the inner circle of the first, how am I here? Ave Dominus Nox. Hey, I mean, I'm always happy to have Night Lord's
obviously,
fancy. Yeah,
he's a prisoner.
yeah.
Like Seventh
Yeah,
we put him throw him in jail.
We won't break your back, but you're more than welcome. Guilliman is the only legit sane man in the Scouring in 40k. Well, it's a good question. I mean, yeah, there's definite, like, Rogel Dawn, I definitely think is going to tend towards madness over time. I do think we're going to see that. That's I made that prediction a long time ago, and I'm sticking by it. And even though that doesn't mean he doesn't make any rational decision, I think that's probably the way they'll go. What he goes through at the end of the heresy is a lot. And of course, we've still got the entire Iron Cage instance set up. And yeah, of course, I mean, with Perturabo in the system already, like we're already going to go in that direction, but presumably the Iron Cage will be far away. So I imagine we're at least a couple of books away from that. Have they announced a second book yet? I don't
No, they haven't.
No.
But they do teach when the Iron Warrior is discussing the star charts where Perturabo wants to go. The last name on that list is Sebastus 4. So we're getting the teases, just like in the beginning of the heresy of the Horus heresy, where like we are going to Istvan now. Yeah, I know that name. Now we're going to Sebastus 4 now. I know that name too.
Yes, I think the first book does say the planet's called Davin at the end, and then the second one says, oh yeah, the Istvan system, and then they like that one. But hey, you need your mic drop ending. Sorry, yes, not an Inquisitor. Yes, I met Malkador. I was asking because I was hoping maybe Litu took them, but it seemed pretty concrete that Vanus had them in that coffin. Yeah, I mean, I guess that would make sense, but I would guess that they're either the either the assassins have them now or the custodians have got them. But I mean, given that they're going to likely hand the Terminus decree to the Grey Knights, I would guess the custodians will get them. So we'll see. But yeah, it would be cool to see a plot line with Valkador's bones, don't you think? I mean, that it would also make sense as to why the Grey Knights have them. They're guarding them essentially, but they should be like mostly burned up though. I mean, there must be no remnants.
It's a bunch of dust. One would mention. Kalita San leaves them walled in with the Rosetta Stone and a bunch of like Malkador's effects deep in a basement in the, like, I want to say the Imperial Palace, but everything is the Imperial Palace. Somewhere in the soon-to-be Inquisitorial Fortress. Yeah. And they'll probably be then transferred to Titan at some point.
Yeah. Anyway. Could they not use charged Noctilith under the palace to close the portal, thereby releasing the need for Biggie to keep it closed? I've no doubt that that kind of thing could be theorized. I guess the problem that you have, the only thing I can think of, because it seems the reason I feel compelled to argue against it is because it seems like an obvious conclusion to a pretty large problem in 40k. But the main thing I can think of is that this isn't a portal to the warp as such, but to the webway. So whether the Blackstone can be used in that regard, I doubt it. But maybe Belisarius is cool, or give it a crack. Who knows?
Also, the obvious answer in 30k is that they don't know. Like, they don't know about Noctilus properties. The Emperor never used it.
True.
The Admech doesn't know it yet. Like, it'll take Abaddon a couple of thousand years to get the hang of it. It'll take the Admech a lot longer. And why they don't use it in modern 40k, putting psychic dampeners near where the Emperor is struggling to stay alive on the Golden Throne might not be the smartest thing. Putting psychic amplifiers there might not be the smartest thing either. Like, it's a lot of risk putting either fuel or suppressants next to the fire we absolutely need to keep burning.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But yes, it's certainly not going to be a thing in the Scouring. Are we going to the Deep Warp again? No, we're going to the Deeper Warp, actually. The Deeper Warp
the deepest warp.
Yeah, the Deeper Warp, the Deepest Walk, etc. But I've no doubt that will be a lot of clickbait YouTube titles. But it's not really a thing. When
something that just struck me, you and I were both thinking like this is a very polite and dignified lion, and it is like in Chris Wraith's Lehman Russ Primarch novel, they do say that the lion was famed for his courtly manners on Terra. So this is Chris Wraith coming back to the lion he likes, not so much the line other people write. Like, yeah, see, he can't be dignified and courtly on Terra. I told you so in my Believe It Russ book.
Yes. I mean, he also says that in another Chris Ray, in the I forget the name of the short story, but there's a short story where a bunch of Alpha Legions go to the Dark Angels in Rangdan's Unicides, and it is said that at that time, I mean, to be fair, this could just be the Alpha Legion buttering up the Lion, but it is said that everyone on Terra likes the Lion, so he's a relatively well-liked Primarch on Terra at the time, and that's why the Lion is pretty confident he's going to be the next War Master. Before, of course, the Rangda do whatever the Rangdan did. Was a little surprised not to see an Araman perspective in this book. I mean, he's making it away. I mean, he's about to... I guess... Because to be fair, the Araman series picks up not long after the Heresy, and of course, yeah, so he will go right into making the rubric. So I don't know whether you will see much Araman at all. I was interested because John French wrote the Araman story. I was interested to see if he would tie it in, and I couldn't see any suggestions of him setting up anything big. Yeah, I mean, the whole Araman arc is. It's not bad. I guess it's just classic 40k, and one of the least fun things about it is that Araman's story basically ties itself off and undoes itself, which is all the shenanigans. Time. Yeah.
But then again, other than Perturabo, we don't really get any of the principal traitors, although they're mentioned a lot. I do love that the first conversation we have with Rogel Dawn, he's like, "I want them all dead. I want them dead. I want Ezekal Abaddon's head on a pike."
Yeah.
Like, it's very clear who we're gonna go get.
Yeah, God, yeah, it's going to be good. Yeah. What are the low-key moments that you both hope are covered in the Scouring series? Oh, I mean, to be honest, one of the things is it depends how long they go. Do you know what I mean? Because the Scouring does have like an official time, but then it bleeds into the Age of the Imperium, and a lot of these characters will continue. So I like the whole Basilio Foe is by far one of my favorite characters in the setting right now, and I'm really interested to see what they do with him. But who knows? Not an Inquisitor's point. Litu, to see what they do with Litu is going to be wild. He doesn't appear in the book, and presumably, he's about to be, he was going to be interviewed, I guess, by Rogel Dawn and the Chosen of Malkador or something. So he's going to come up for sure. To be honest, I think the first big one for me is, I don't know which one will come first, either the loss of Caliban or the Iron Cage. Both of them are going to be huge because finding out exactly seeing the Lion's Jewel versus Luther is the last big thing that we need, and that will basically confirm for us who Cypher is in 40k, which will be amazing. And then the Iron Cage hasn't been it's largely just unwritten. The last instance of it being written by the writers was like the fifth edition Codex Astartes, Index Astartes, sorry, and in that it's obviously a very different time to 40k today. That's the time when Rogel Dawn was treated as being dead, and the Horus Heresy was still being written. So the numbers of in the Iron Cage are much smaller than what you'd imagine. It's like, I think the Perturabo sacrifices about 500 Imperial Fist Gene Seed to ascend to demonhood. That's not really what you'd expect, and of course it looks like they're playing to something bigger. So I imagine they've debated long and hard in their author meetings about what to do with the Iron Cage and how it wants to go down. But that will be, I mean, that is basically brand new lore. Like whereas what's it compared to? Like Jagatai Khan's lore, I would say, is Jagatai Khan's lore has been written and written again, and you'll find it in any White Scar supplement nowadays. You'll find it in the first Founding Chapters book. We pretty much know the circumstances of what Jagatai Khan's disappearance. We just don't know the why, and so we don't really need a book on that. Although it's cool, it would be cool. But Rogel Dawn's the Iron Cage incident and his disappearance, we just know so little about it, and the stuff we do know is relatively likely to get changed and tweaked. So I'm really hyped to get that lore kind of concrete, really, to be honest with you. Christian, anything that you're excited for, man?
The major things I want to see, yes, the Iron Cage, but the big thing I really want, I want Lorgar's triumph. I want a Lorgar ascending to Demon Princehood, laughing all the way as he's the only one that wins the heresy and is fully. I don't want any oh no, I was wrong, or chaos is evil, last minute. No, I want a Lorgar laughing all the way to the bank. But a small thing, I love Shimeng and Malhausen and Hassan and Pantagion. I love all these small, like High Lord human characters that you would only know if you read the whole Heresy and have a memory for all these minor characters. I want to see them grow, and I want to see Guilliman get hoisted by his own petard. I want to see him eventually lose power to this human council that he has empowered and put into play. I want to see humans rise up to dominate Primarchs, because I really like all these small humans, and I have read 88 books about Primarchs being the only things that matter. And I like Primarchs, but I kind of want to see them take some losses now to humans. I want to see humanity rise up.
Yeah, that's a great call. I think that will be yeah, that humbling would be wild. Yeah, and there's a lot we could play off there to how it can make 40k more interesting as well. But yeah, there's a lot of things to go off. I mean, like you say, I like what you say about Erebus's triumph. Like, I almost want a book that's something like that's just called like Erebus's, no, sorry, not Erebus, Lorgar's coronation. You know, like here's according to the law we have, and maybe it will get changed. He's already done enough to get demonhood. He will just be granted it for his services to chaos, kind of like a British celebrity. Chaos, he's like a British celebrity getting a knighthood. He's going to get it for services to treachery. And so he's got enough. So I quite like the idea that the book is just a chaos, like, glory fest. Like, it's just millions of humans on this planet celebrating Lorgar, and Lorgar having like the best day ever. There's maybe like a plot to disrupt the ascendancy, and then it gets overcome, but like it's just like a twisted switch of the Imperial Palace, and like Lorgar. Yeah, it's just Lorgar's triumph. I think you're right. I think that would
be amazing.
That would be really cool, and we could see, yeah, just an official just Lorgar winning. And to be fair, I like, because he gets, he the last we saw of him, wow, we saw him a little bit in the Siege, but the last we properly saw of him is just Horus beating the crap out of him and his son's turning on him. So getting a proper Lorgar win would be wild. Good. Minotaur's fan here. Aren't the High Lords of Terra the only good guys in 40k? So I guess it depends on your... Yeah, that's a good question. It depends slightly on what you're talking about, I guess, because you have old High Lords and new High Lords. So the old High Lords were all crap, and that's why Guilliman replaces them with his Reform Council. Again, Chris Wright story, so really good. Definitely worth reading the Regent Shadow. And in addition to that, the ones Guilliman's replaced him with are yet to properly prove their worth in my eyes. They're supposed to be better, but the Fabricator General of Mars, the new one, is already planning a bit of a rebellion, so that's not a great sign. And the rest of them have made some questionable decisions.
Speak well for them either.
Yeah. I mean, like Valoris is placed people around Guilliman to basically kill him if they need to. Like, it's they're all, yeah, it's a mixture. I mean, I would like to see, I guess, to your point there, Christian, like just like how you like to see the High Lords of Terra develop in the Scouring. In 40k, when I read the next High Lords of Terra book, I want to see a proper High Lords of Terra book. I don't want to see Morven Val commanding 3 squads of sisters. I want to see Morven Val commanding like some ridiculous unholy legions. I mean, I don't know if you read the Leontus book, but in that he's like, it's one of the things. It's not like bad in and of itself. It's just not what I wanted. Like he's basically just another Imperial commander. Like, they crash and they got to find water sources and then they got to rouse the troops. It's great, but I want to see Solar Leontus commanding.
Could have done that job. Any major, any captain. Like I want to see the guy that commands 100 armies at once.
Yeah, I want the like the Macarian Crusade worked. Like it worked as a narrative, and they shouldn't, I think, shy away from just having them wield ridiculous troops.
We already have Gaunt Skos and a billion small guard unit riding a tank or patrol. We have a billion stories about that. I want a story about the guy who commands stuff.
Yeah. But to your Minotaurs comment, if you've not read my Minotaurs, watch my Minotaurs video. This might not make sense, but Graham McNeil has promised us we will see Babu Dakal again. So he's not in the book, but and he wasn't in the Heresy, but presumably they're holding off for the Scouring. So I think that I really hope we do see him, because he was such a good character, and I mean, who doesn't want to see a Thunder Warrior, right? Regarding the Death Guard, I've read novels and such. It seems like each marine is very independent in their mindset, perhaps even questioning the rest of the Chaos Pantheon. Death Guard are cool. Yeah, they do have some good individualism. I mean, you know, I guess the core of their legion is about individualism. Typhus and his deviations away from the commands of Mortarion is a regular plot point. But yeah, I guess most of them, I guess, you can just be controlled by Mortarion. I don't think most of them would defy him if you've told them what to do. But hey ho, there is some good variation in them. In fact, the new Master of Rights book has some a cool Death Guard in it, and I think that's going to be a whole new series. This Warband of Rust, and so it'll be I think we'll get some more lore on that. That'll be awesome. Do we have any loyalists from the traitor legions perspectives? Loyalists from I see what you mean. No, not in this book, but you do have kind of this, you know, we hinted at a bit, like the Word Bearers and the Iron Warriors, and they both basically the Iron Warrior basically realizes that the Word Bearers intend to sacrifice him, and so they then start doing that, and then Perturabo turns up, and all the Word Bearers are for it, really. But the Lorgar has got a plan. He has been sending messages through the warp, and so we don't see Lorgar, but he will be a big character in the future. So who knows? Yeah. But maybe that's what gets his ascendancy to demonhood, is his kind of jump starting of the warp. Maybe that's the final.
Bringing the Chaos Gods back from their sleep. Like, these are some of my favorite Word Bearers when written, because they're questioning and they're doubting, but like, Word Bearers when written right sound so reasonable, and they are like brotherly and kind sounding, and they sound so trustworthy. But at this point, you would be an absolute moron if you trusted them, because they'll just hurt. Yeah, we're planning to sacrifice them in about a minute. It'll be for the greater good and for the power of chaos. And they're so reasonable. It's Lorgar. Lorgar is your best friend right up until he stabs you, and he believes he's your best friend right up until he stabs you.
Yeah, no, for sure. Payden, thank you for the gift membership. If you got that, please thank Payden, and jump into the Discord. Thanks so much to everyone that supports the channel. It's really cool that we get to do this. I must say, I hope you agree, Christian, but I'm glad so many of you enjoy this. Amazing. There's a lot of people watching this stream, and I know not everybody has time to read the books themselves, so it's always a pleasure to talk about them and give our perspectives. But I mean, I must say, that does mean we should say I would really recommend everybody read this book. If you haven't read The Heresy, there are some things that will stand out to you. Like there will be the odd thing that you miss, because like Christian says, Chris Wright is sort of a master of subtlety, and he doesn't tell you that like Zaran Xanthus is Basilio Foe, but like the way he behaves, you'll tell something's weird. So you'll have a Google of that character and find out who he is. But I'd really recommend, if you want a place to start in the Heresy, and in 30k, and you don't want to read the whole Heresy, I think, you know, with 40k, you've sort of just got to jump in. And I think this is as good a place as any, because you'll as long as you have a basic understanding of who the Primarchs are, you'll make it work. And so it's just great. And I think this is actually, compared to a lot of the Heresy books, Christian, I think you'd agree this was much more readable. There's much less fucking about. There's not just like unnecessary bolter porn going on. There's not a lot of war. Like that's one of the major, like the feeling of loss and of purposelessness and of trying to figure out, and politics is very big in this. There's not a lot of war. That's a deliberate point. Like, this is a terrible book to only read a Reddit plot point summary in, because it is so nuanced, and so everybody is multi-layered, and everybody has ideas and feelings, and they conflict, and they all doubt themselves. So this is a terrible like summary. This is a enjoyed book. Yes, and to be honest, even doing the YouTube, like, it's something I've tried to get better at, and it's always nice to talk to someone like yourself, Christian, because it's good to remember that a lot of this stuff is from perspectives and from opinions, and that sometimes writers do just make mistakes, but sometimes they are deliberately putting things into books with the potential of, by the way, this could be wrong, just so you know, it's just color for the lore, right? So like we talked about Alpha Primus this week, and Guy Haley doesn't pull any punches. He's like, this is a demon. Demons lie. Remember this before you read this novel. This is demons lie. Yeah, so it's there's a lot, like, reading the books for yourself does a really good is really good for you in that respect. Like the idea, exactly what's happened to the Chaos Gods. It's just we've got a bunch of opinions on it. We've got the perspective of a demon, and so like we don't know exactly what's going on, but the truth of it is probably something we'll find out in the near future. Old facts. Guilliman planned his whole leaving Terra on the High Lords, trying a coup which he easily foiled. Maybe the Fabricator General is in the same situation, so he is actually a she, can take more power on Mars. I don't think so. So I think, I mean, it's connected to this book in a weird way. This book starts the inevitable downfall of the Golden Throne, right? And the reason that Mars is planning to rebel in 40k is basically because of that. Because they have, I mean, they haven't tried everything. They tried like 3 things. Those 3 things didn't work, and so now they're going like, right, that's it. No one can save the Golden Throne. So that the reason they're planning to betray Guilliman is because they have accepted they can't fix the Golden Throne, as far as we know. And they had a plan with the Drukhari, where it famously didn't work out, and so because of that, they're now planning to let the Emperor die, and then they're just going to try and claim as much of the Imperium as they can. So that's the reason behind her betrayal. But in terms of Guilliman's kind of leaving Terra and the High Lords taking their coup, it doesn't, like, Chris Wright doesn't really explain. I mean, presumably Guilliman was on top of everything, but if Valoris and the assassins hadn't been on Guilliman's side, then I don't know if they would. I don't know if Guilliman would have won. It would have at the very least been a huge pain for him. So thankfully, the custodians at the very least know that Guilliman, he might be a traitor, but he's probably the best chance the Emperor has, and so they are happy to, at least work with him for now.
There's a great question here. Hey, do you guys know why Guilliman was the only Primarch who knew about the Emperor's condition? Essentially, the people who knew about the Emperor were the Silent Sisterhood, the Anathema Psychana, the Custodians, and the Fabricator Locum, because they were the people in the room. And they, as far as this isn't spelled out, but as far as I understand it, the Silent Sisters immediately go to Guilliman and be like, yeah, you're the power guy we need. This is what is happening. We need you to get us Luna back. We need you to get us the Council, and we need you to get us not to launch into stupid crusades, but to fix the thing we need to fix now. And then Guilliman acts. And the thing that I like about this is the most forward and powerful we've ever seen the Silent Sisterhood. They don't usually do politics. And I am convinced this will be laying another stone in the groundwork for why they will get wiped out down the line. Like, people already hate them by nature. If they get seen as manipulating the Council and they lose Guilliman as their protector and the Custodians oddly drop the ball there, they're going to be hated for that.
Yes. I mean, you're right. It's another Chris Wright storyline in 40k is, what happened to the Sisters of Silence. Probably something I'll have to do a video on at some point, to be honest, where they basically go on an investigation, which of course takes them to Luna again, and they try to discover, why have the Sisters of Silence numbers dwindled so much. And turns out people hate people hate witches. Who'd have thought in 40k? But it's like you say, it's starting here, and there's again a kind of brutal part where the Sisters of Silence actually think in this book that they're about to be loved, because they've of course been fighting alongside the Astartes.
Camus tells Genetia Krall's successor, like, maybe they'll hate you a little less because of what you did, and you're just sitting there like the reader going, oh no, this is not the Imperium. No one gets any plaudit, no one gets any credit, everyone is sad.
But they think, because they've fought alongside the Astartes and fought with the Emperor, that they're about to be beloved. But yes, unfortunately, that will not last long. Once the Keelerites, as you say, once they start getting a hold of things, things go a little bit off the rails. You might have noticed, ladies and gentlemen. Have they tried turning it off and on again? Great question. I would love it if that was the solution in the end. Wouldn't that be so funny?
It would.
I
don't think they know there's an off button.
What chapters were included in the culling of the Thunder Warriors? Could Bjorn the Fell-Handed have been fighting Thunder Warriors? So interestingly, Chris Wright has...
He's too young, right? Bjorn is too young.
He's had a bit of a problem with this. So basically the problem that you have, so in the old Warhammer 40k lore, in the Black Books, there's a reference to this idea, a story that tells us that the Thunder Warriors one day returned, and there were all of these black armored space marines. Dark Angels. So the Dark Angels apparently were first deployed in killing the Thunder Warriors. However, most lore typically insinuates it was the custodians that were the ones who culled the Thunder Warriors, or at the very least, they were just allowed to be nearly wiped to a man. And the other problem you have is that in Valdor Birth of the Imperium, when Ushatan sees the Dark Angels for the first time, he very much talks about them to Valdor as if they're a new creation. He clearly hasn't seen the Dark Angels before, and so he's like, hey, what are these guys? What are these guys? They're smaller and worse than us. What are they? So I think I would typically say the custodians, but there is an argument you could make for it being the Dark Angels too. And some of them do survive into the heresy, and there is a story in the Black Books that talks about the World Eaters actually.
World Eaters.
Yeah, they purge a bunch of them, and so that's the last instance of them. And given that you have
Indrid Heart.
Indrid Heart, yes, the Rivenhound. Given that you have the Rivenhound, I've always assumed that's where he came from, but it's Malcador's kind of hinted it, but it's not particularly. Yeah, again, it's cryptic. It's 40k.
Also, like just to add to that, Bjorn is surprisingly young for such an important guy. Like he comes up as a basically line marine during the burning of Prospero and becomes Russ's good luck charm and rises to be Wolf Lord. But he's young for a Port Marine the Heresy. Like all the other like major leaders in the Heresy tend to be well established. Bjorn is very young. Like that's also why he can stick around for like 500 years after the Heresy to be like Great Wolf Chapter Master.
I'm always sort of disappointed, given that the number of like 40k memes that float about, that we don't call Bjorn the weird Space Marine. Because in the stories, the Space Wolves talk to Bjorn about this weird. So like, yeah, he's like Leman Russ's good luck charm, but practically what that means is that he's supposedly got this like phenomenal destiny, and he's one day going to be very important. But they call destiny the weird, and so he's like they're like, if Bjorn wants to sacrifice himself, they're like, no, you're weird, and so they keep him back. So he is like the weird Space Marine, and yeah. Now he's a weird dreadnought. They are really building up Rogul's downfall with his paranoia with Guilliman and the Iron Cage fiasco. Do you think it's going to get even worse? Yes, I mean, pretty much. I don't see how... Yeah, I think it is going to get bad. I mean, maybe Guilliman saving Rogul Dawn at the end of the Iron Cage, if that's still how it plays out, then that will repair their relationship. But the whole breaking up of the legions, in Carrion Lord of the Imperium, like the custodian Diocletian Koros says that they are on the brink of civil war again. They're saying that it's basically going to be Horus Heresy 2.0. So as far as we know, it's going to get much, much worse.
And that is always set up in this book. Like Arcamus is very clear for Dawn. Like if we set out alone, if we cannot persuade Guilliman, are we ready to risk civil war? And Dawn, in his typical fashion, goes, yeah, there we are. We're doing this. I promised Dad we're doing this, so we're doing this.
No, for sure. Which open-ended book written by a non-plot driving author would you like to see start driving the narrative? Sounds like since the narrative is so flexible, promotion of certain books could help. That's a great question. So yeah, I don't sorry to feel that question. Which books like that aren't like necessarily going to be central to the setting would we still like to see continued? I would really like to see, for example, Death Welder by Victoria Hayward, or Dominion Genesis, or even Leviathan. These stories that give us genuine, because 40k has no shortage of MacGuffins, right? Lots of 40k plots are based around a MacGuffin, and a lot of books end with this MacGuffin could be pivotal to the Imperium survival, and then we never hear about it again. These three stories all have MacGuffins in that vein, and in particular with those three stories, I could see those MacGuffins being very useful to battling something like the Tyranids, and I would love to see that picked up by even like a central author for when they're writing campaigns for how the Fourth Tyrannic War gets defeated, because when the Fourth Tyrannic War it gets at the very least blunted. When that happens, I would like it to have a base in a novel, and that's a really interesting and I think satisfying way to do that, to link it back to one of those stories where we have characters introduced to very, very powerful technology that would be, as far as I can tell, very effective against the Tyranids. It wouldn't like completely defeat them, But in Leviathan, we have basically a way of like a biological weapon against the Tyranids, and in the Death Welder and Dominion Genesis, we have kind of world building devices. And I think that would be a really cool way to have Guilliman at least defeat a significant chunk of the Imperial Tyranid forces. So I would love to see that. I'd love to see. Yeah, I don't want another third Tyrannic War where the Tyranids just win, just lose. They just sort of get blunted and just sort of vaguely lose, but then not properly lose. I want like an actual decisive victory for the Imperium, and I think that would be good. Like I said this before when it came to the Silent King. One of the reasons I really like the Silent King is because what Guy Haley does well is the Necrons very much feel like this incredible, powerful threat, and they are obviously the more powerful of the two. When they have their void battle against the Imperium, it's sort of a joke. Like the Imperium just is so outmatched. But that doesn't mean the Imperium stands literally no chance, and it makes it so much more interesting because of this. So I think the Tyranids need a loss. What about you, Christian?
This is kind of obscure. The author who I think wrote Skitarii Combat the best in all of 40k is Rob Sanders' Skitarii novel, and that's a duology with the follow-up being Tech Priest. And the cool thing about that is that the antagonist in that novel is an Iron Warriors warsmith that Rob Sanders created in a short story in the Heresy called Iron Fire, something like that. And he's also in this modern set of AdMech-focused storylines. So I want more of that. I want more Rob Sanders writing me Tech Priests and Skitarii fighting this specific Iron Warrior, because it's just such a small little niche thing that I get because I've read all these obscure random stories, and I like Skitarii. I like them. I want more of them. I want them winning. I want to see Skitarii kill Space Marines. That's my obscure little continuance I want.
Oh, great suggestion. Great shout. I think, there's so many of potential 40k characters, like 30k characters we could see in 40k. There's probably too many to do, really. I guess.
Yeah.
With the 40k plot moving forward and Primarch's returning, do you think Erebus will return? Will he return as a demon, and who gets to kill him? So
Erebus will never die.
Yeah,
Erebus is too awesome to die.
I don't think Erebus ever died, because he's such a bastard. Like it's kind of fun to hate him. I think he will get a model at some point. My guess is the Word Bearers would come last of the Traitor Legions, assuming that they all do get a release. But I wouldn't surprise me to see we get an Erebus model, because he is. Yeah, he is the ultimate bastard, and they're still him and Corferon are still about. Lorgar is apparently about, according to the Chaos Space Marine Codex at the very least. Turning Imperial worlds to chaos. So they are doing what Word Bearers do best, and giving him a model if anything, it does seem quite long overdue, really, doesn't it, for such an important character? Yeah. But I don't think he'll turn as a demon. Yeah.
He should have a special rule on tabletop that if Lorgar manages to attack a model from the rear, he could use a knife stab attack that instantly kills anybody. You just go backstab Primarchs with Erebus. It's going to be amazing.
Yes. Yeah, who knows? But I don't think he'll be a demon, because it just sort of runs counter to his character, I guess. And in a weird way, it sort of makes him more Machiavellian, because he obviously advocates for people to ascend to demonhood, but realistically, he probably knows that that's not the best solution or the best outcome for a human being who likes to be in control of their soul. So it's I don't think he's going to accept demonhood at all. Cupid, welcome to the channel, bud. Is it canon that there is an unknown parasite / warp being inside the Emperor's body on the throne that's growing in power over the past 10,000 years? Inside the Emperor's body? No. If anything, the really interesting thing about the Emperor, the part that's been growing over the last 10,000 years, is completely detached from him. So this is where we talk about the Star Child. So I'll try and do a quick summary here, but I've talked about it quite at length before. So before the Emperor faced Horus, he did nearly ascend to godhood. He considered ascending something called the Dark King, because Horus was so powerful he realized he couldn't beat him in mortal form, and so or in standard human form, and so he nearly ascends to godhood. Then he's convinced not to do this because he if he was to ascend to godhood, he would defeat Horus, but he would have driven the warp into madness, and it would have been like the birth of Slanesh times a million, and basically wiped out humanity. So he is convinced not to become a god. But in the last vestiges of his godhood, he uses to heal his companions and cut off part of his own soul. His love, loyalty, compassion drift off into the warp, and Malkador sees them go. So far, only Malkador knows about that, but it's a prophesized return in 40k at the very least, so people have had visions. And it's said that that part of the Emperor's soul is just in the warp now, and Malkador says that it will grow as the Chaos Gods grow. So the more people worship the Emperor, the more powerful the Star Child becomes. And so by the time we get to 40k, it is, in theory, one of the most powerful things in the entire setting, maybe the most powerful thing in the entire setting, because more people worship the Emperor than Nurgle, for example.
The big question going forward in the Scouring is this gonna be like, basically, so far it's shaping up to be more like the Siege. Giant, sprawling, bunch of name character, bunch of Primarchs, a bunch of events. Could it be that, or is it going to spread out and we're going to get something like the Dawn of Fire? Is because you could maybe if that's scary, like the early Heresy, where like different parts of the story gets a different novel. I can imagine like a more spread out series where we have novels following what the Sons of Horus Remnant is doing, and novels what the Blood Angels are recovering, and novels what Iron Cage, and novels of Caliban. Like you could do like basically a Horus Heresy style like sprawling series in the Scouring.
Oh, sure, man. I mean, if you look at the Black Legion in particular, there's like kind of the central antagonists. They're gone now. You know, Abaddon is gonna get to the Eye of Terror with everyone else, then he will fuck off until the Black Legion series, which I think from Abaddon's point of view is like 200 years, but from Sigismund's is about 1,000. So it's like they're not really going to be in this series. I guess it's going to be Lorgar and Perturabo. If you're going to have a big conflict, it's going to be Lorgar or Perturabo.
I agree. Lorgar Perturabo would be the carry.
Yeah, Angron is not really a character anymore, tragically. And then Magnus the Red is going to be. I guess he could come. Magnus could come up. To be fair,
Magnus and Morty could do.
Yeah, and then Fulgrim
is the
not interested.
Question marks.
Oh, of course, yes, of course. We have got Alfarius. Yeah, to be fair, that is a good story. We will have that. Maybe that will be more humbling for Guilliman. We'll see. Like that's what I sort of want from that book, right? Is I want
Espandor, right?
I'd love Guilliman, because obviously Guilliman will kill the Primarch, or at least allegedly he'll kill the Primarch. But I'd love it if, even though he kills Alfarius / Emblem, it still plays out like it's a loss for Guilliman, which it is, like historically. Like I would love it to be written like you sort of walk away forgetting that actually Guilliman won the fight, but still it was such an Ultraman's humiliation, I think, and that is the ultimate Alpha Legion victory, really.
That would also be a turnaround, because Guilliman tends to win the battle and lose the duel.
Yeah.
That's his
exactly, which is why he does it, I guess, isn't it? Yeah. Alfarius was always like, you're rubbish. You always read books. Which is hurtful to 40k fans.
That amazing line in Alfarius' Prime, but like, Guilliman rubs us all the wrong way. Not only does he think he have sold war, but he can write it down at the same time.
That's a good line, yeah. Piers, member for 8 months. Thank you so much, man. What a similar question. What big fight would you like to see, even if unlikely? That's a really good question. I really want to see an Abaddon Primarch fight. I would really like a proper cementing of Abaddon as a Primarch level threat. It seems the kind of thing that seems obvious, like, because it seems a necessary component of the setting to be functional. If 40k constantly has this asterisk over it of, well, whenever Abaddon actually faces a Primarch, he will immediately die. That's not very interesting. So I'd like a Abaddon to be put at a Primarch level. According to Luther's novel, we will have the Lion versus Luther alongside Corswain versus Ahariel. As a Dark Angels fan, this is everything. This is what we play for. So let's go. I can't wait for that one. That's gonna be big. Anything for your side, mate?
No, I agree. Those were excellent choices. Like, that is gonna be big.
Yeah.
Those, like, this. We've also talked about a lot of the big things I want with the Scouring. And, yeah. Speaking of, it's close to 12:30 where I
Apologies.
am, so
yes.
I might want to be heading to bed soon.
No, that is absolutely fine. Thank you so much, man. Yes, I'm sure we will talk about it, the book in Discord as well. So any members do jump in the Discord as well.
Absolutely.
And you can ask any questions, and we will plan some videos, what we're going to talk about. But there's a few more questions for me to answer, but yeah, feel free to jump off whenever, pal.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, man. I need to make like a little servitor. I think I can make a servitor animated. So next time Christian's here, I can make him look like a servitor talking to me. I have an odd question. If some of these stories are happening in 30k, are they trying to bring them up to 40k? Will Jagatai Khan come back? I would like to see Vulcan come back also. I guess they might be connected, right? So, for example, the Lion in 40k, we know to be a much more kind of humble character than what we see in the Heresy. He is a much nicer. He gets along with people very well, and he's pretty respectful of others. And that plays out of character to the Lion in the Great Crusade, who was a power-seeking, crazy guy who constantly screwed over everybody if he got the opportunity to take more power for himself. But I mean, I guess to be fair, I'm being a bit too harsh there, but yeah, I guess in his pragmatism he would often not care about others so much, and now he doesn't seek glory, he doesn't seek command of the Imperium, he just sort of seeks to serve the Emperor. And what we see in the Scouring book is sort of the beginnings of that, because we have a Lion who is much more much more humble. He's getting along with other people. He talks in this book about how like he just wants all the Primarchs to stick together, which again is pretty out of character. So we can see his character in 40k being set up in the Scouring. Likewise, we've spoken today about Vulcan in this book is a lot more bloodthirsty than we've seen him in the past. No respect for Xenos, no respect, angrily hunting down traitors, and really just wants to feel traitors' blood. And so it's pretty much out of character, but that probably will play into why he made the decisions that he made. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it there, guys, because I'm already coughing quite a lot. But thank you so much for watching. I will be streaming again tomorrow. I have really enjoyed this book, and we wholeheartedly recommend it. And I think pretty much everyone I've seen read it so far has loved it. So definitely, definitely recommend it for you guys to check out. I think I will do more videos on this topic, and I think that I will definitely be making some videos on this because I want to do it justice, but there's a few things I'm finishing up first. So let me know what you want me to talk about, and of course we've still got plenty of days left in Lormus, so I'm sure I'm sure there's a lot of plot lines that we can do entire streams around, but I'm really excited for this. So excited that the Scouring started off so strong, and I can't wait to see what they're doing. But thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this stream. A lot of you joined me. This is an absolute privilege to get to do this, so it's a real joy. Let me know what you'd like me to cover, and I will see you all next time. Take care, everyone.